Oh, my camera's off. There we go. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the Draftkings Picks and Predictions Show. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, where me, Weezy, MMA Monk, and Gordo break down the upcoming card from a DFS perspective and give our predictions on the fights as well. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio so you don't miss out on all the content throughout the week. As always, guys, we're going to go through it. We're going to talk about the fights to target, the fight to fade, the fighter to fade, favorite dog, favorite GPP play, favorite cash play, favorite value play, our dart throw. We'll go over our lineups for last week. We'll go over our quick picks and give our lineups for this week as well and answer any questions you guys have. So, yeah, it should be a very fun card. We have 14 fights to break down. And, yeah, very, very good card stacked top to bottom outside of a couple fights here and there that I'm not too excited about, but, mostly very excited about this card. So, let's kick it around. Weezy, what is up? Are you looking forward to UFC Austin?
Definitely looking forward to this card from a gambler's perspective and from a fan's perspective. There's a lot of great fights here. And even from DraftKings, this is normally a show where we tell you just fade the women's fights and, take the fights that are favored to finish inside the distance. This card has pretty much got a pretty wide spread of types of stylistic matchups to choose from. I think it's a very interesting card to break down from a DraftKings perspective. So I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you guys.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be very interesting from a DraftKings perspective. Gordo, what is up? You looking forward to the card?
Oh, I definitely am. I think this is one that is going to be incredible to watch in person. I envy all you guys who are going to go see it. But this is a really weird one because this is where DraftKings comes, and this is why I love it so much, because we're in the betting lines. There's a ton of minus 200, minus 300s. Somebody has to be around even money on DraftKings. Someone has to be an underdog. Someone has to be 8,200. And for that reason, we're able to make a lot of lineups this week. There's a lot of chalk, a lot of things to go through, and I'm excited to cover it all with you guys. But I think it's going to be fun, and I'm ready to go.
100%. Last but not least, we have Monk. Monk, what is up? You looking forward to the card?
Yes, sir, fellas. Glad to be back. Got my old green screen back, as you can tell. Had to hang the new fight poster behind me. The work never stops. Definitely looking forward to this card from a DraftKings perspective. I absolutely love the mid-range, top range, bottom range. A little questionable. Hopefully we'll get into that a little bit. But, yeah, definitely looking forward to UFC Austin.
No mower this week, Monk, huh?
That's true. I told that guy to kick rocks. Tell you what.
I like it. All right, guys, I say we get right into it here. And as always, we're going to start with our fight to target. I will kick this one off. I'm going to go with Albert Duraev going against Joaquin Buckley. The fight doesn't go to decision, is currently sitting at minus 210. And I believe that is the widest fight doesn't go decision line on the card. I think it's pretty close there with Cerrone Lauzon. But, yeah, I think somebody gets finished here. On the feet, I think Buckley's going to have a ton of opportunities to knock out Duraev. Duraev has been knocked out 3 times in his career. Buckley has been knocked out a good amount of times as well. I think it's 3 as well. If Duraev gets this fight down to the mat, his ground and pound is vicious. He has a submission game as well. I think if Duraev does get it down to the mat, he probably has a really good chance of finishing Buckley. But on the feet, Duraev is willing to stand and bang, and that could be a recipe for disaster here. I think both guys are live for a finish, whether it is a Duraev knockout, it could be on the feet as well, but a ground and pound submission on the mat. And then Buckley definitely has enough power to knock out Albert Duraev. So that's my favorite fight to target on the entire card, especially at these price tags of $8,600 for Duraev and $7,600 for Buckley. Weezy, what is your favorite fight to target for UFC Austin?
Well, that was the one I had written up, but I like what I got here as a backup option, and that's Phil Hawes versus Deron Winn, if Deron Winn shows up. Now, we've got some really good numbers here for both of these guys. For instance, Phil Hawes scoring 4.57 DraftKings points per minute. Deron Winn scoring 4.53 DraftKings points per minute. Deron Winn's fights thus far in the UFC are averaging 136 points per fight total, which is the highest on the card. And for Hawes, it's over 120 as well. So I see a guy with a ton of power in Phil Hawes and a guy with a lot of wrestling ability in Winn. Whoever gets their game plan going is probably going to score a ton of points in this one, particularly if Winn has success with the wrestling for 3 rounds. He's gonna pile up a ton of points. But Phil Hawes does have 100% takedown defense, and he's got a ton of power. And he's, even though we know Deron Winn is a very high level wrestler, he even worked with the United States Olympic team and was a Division II national champion 2 years in a row, I believe. Phil Hawes was also a JUCO national champion, so he's a very good wrestler in his own right. If he stops the takedowns and can keep this a boxing match, where he's going to have like a 6 or a 7-inch reach advantage, I think he has a ton of success and knocks out there and wins. So either way this goes, I think it's going to be a high-scoring fight, a good one to target both sides of.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I just checked the Instagram of Phil Hawes. Apparently, he did dye his hair back blonde, so take that as you will. Not the best sign in the world, but yeah, I think he should knock out.
Can I change my pick?
You might need to, because the blonde hair Phil Hawes, I don't know. Gordo, what is your favorite fight to target for this week?
Those are both mine. I mean, I bet the unders in both of those. I'll freestyle another one off for you guys. Highest fight doesn't go to decision on the entire card. We're taking the old men. We're taking Donald Cerrone and Joe Lauzon. Pretty simply put, they're both in the decline. Kind of the loser goes home. And I love them both to death. They're great fighters. But it seems that both their win conditions score very high. I see this one finishing one way or the other. And those ceilings are definitely there. Joe Lauzon, $7,900. You have to think his win criteria is a first-round finish. And it's not like Cerrone hasn't been finished in the first round recently. So I definitely think that path to victory is there. Overall, if Donald Cerrone's not shot, if he's still Cowboy, I do think he has a decent opportunity to go up there, put way over 10 times, 100 points plus, and $8,300 with all the heavy salaries, all the big favorites. I think is a very sneaky play to target as well.
Absolutely. Love that fight to target. Also, Monk, how about you? What is your favorite fight to target for the card?
Boys, I love it when a plan comes together. I put 4 fights down on fight to target. Hawes win, Duraev, Buckley, Cerrone, Lauzon. So I'll give you my 4th one. Kattar and Emmett. I'm glad when we're on the same page. Makes me feel super smart for sure. Kattar, Emmett. I mean, this main event, 5 rounds. If this goes all 5, I mean, we could see some huge scores here. In fact, I do kind of tend to lean decision on this one. Let's see. Kattar put up 121 in 5 rounds against Giga Chikadze, who turned into basically, a punching bag in that fight. Josh Emmett in 3 rounds against Shane Burgos 2 fights ago, 110.12 points. These guys both score pretty well. Calvin Kattar, you got to take out the Max Holloway fight. Max Holloway absolutely destroyed Kattar's statistics for life. Like he's got to do, it's like me coming back in our DFS lineup. I got to do so much work every week to try to build these stats back. Kattar got absolutely, his stats got destroyed in that. So take out that Holloway fight and it's not too bad. Both of these guys though, Kattar scoring 90 points in 4 of his 7 UFC wins or more, 90 or more, I should say. Josh Emmett scoring 90 or more in actually 100 or more in 5 of his 8 wins. So tons of points here. Josh Emmett has a decent takedown and control time score per minute. Kattar did show off a bit of wrestling defense in a few of his fights, 89% so far in the UFC. So I think, long story short, this one's going to be decision. And if that's the case, Kattar got smashed by Holloway, put up 53 points in 5 rounds, though. I mean, if he can get off, a 60 in a loss, or if Emmett can pull off a 60, 50 in a loss, this might be an interesting week to stack. I know I hate doing that, but especially with 14 fights, but it could be interesting. So give me Kattar and Emmett this week.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm going to be stacking in cash. We'll talk more about our cash lineups later, but we'll move on to the next thing we have, the fight to fade. And this is a pretty tough one here. I don't really see a fight that I'm overly excited to fade. I guess if I had to pick one, it will be Ricardo Ramos going against Danny Chavez. I really don't like the price of Ricardo Ramos this week, 9,300. I think he could get some takedowns here. I do like his striking. I like his volume. I like the fact that he's going to be younger. He's going to have a height and reach advantage. I think he wins the fight. It's just I don't know if he's going to go out there and finish Chavez, who's a black belt in his own right, who's very, very tough. I kind of see a Ramos decision at 9,300. I don't know if he's going to score all that well. So don't like the Ramos side. On the flip side, I mean, Chavez, this guy, I think outside of like a first-round knockout, he's more often than not going to lose the fight. And then you take a look at his record. He only has 3 knockouts in his career. I like Ramos to win the fight by decision here, and I just don't see any reason to really play this fight. So yeah, fade for me. Weezy, what fight are you fading for this week?
That's the one that I had also, and I'll give you some additional numbers. Danny Chavez so far in the UFC is scoring 2.07 Draftkings points per minute. That means in a decision win, this guy scores about 61 points. So very low scoring fighter, very low scoring fights. One of the stats that I keep is how many points are scored in a fighter's fights, by the winner and the loser, just to tell you what the work rate is like on average for a fighter. And Chavez's fights are scoring 90.86 points when you add up the winner and the loser and the win bonus there. For Ramos, it's 107. Now, when we talked about the fight that I was targeting, Hawes versus Win, Hawes's fights are scoring 120 points, fights are scoring 136. And now you got guys with Chavez at 90 and Ramos at 107. So, this is probably going to be a low-scoring fight. Ramos is able to get takedowns. Chavez has gotten a couple. But, I really do see it being a low-volume scoring fight here and very likely to go to decision. It's actually the fourth least likely fight to finish inside the distance behind the two ladies' fights and behind Ismagulov versus Kutateladze. So a lot of reasons to maybe keep that one on the back burner. The least of which is not the $9,300 salary of Ricardo Ramos. Really hard to fit him into your lineup.
Yeah, right there with you. Gordo, how about you? What fight are you fading for this week?
Well, I have that one there too, but we're going to add another one. We're going to talk about that one that Uncle Weezy just mentioned. Second worst odds to not go the distance. We're taking Damir Ismagulov versus Guram here. And I know it's unfortunate because sometimes the best matchups don't score that well, and DraftKings sometimes favors those low-level affairs. And it's unfair because I really look forward to watching this, but I don't see them scoring that well. I mean, Damir's got 4 wins in the UFC. He's averaging 80 points. And on the other side, Guram's only got 1 fight, 56. I mean, both these guys are so technical, such good fighters that they don't often put up that many points. I do think it's going to be a very technical and high-level affair. With that being said, I don't see them getting optimal that too much on this time, and it's not like they have the best dog salaries for them either. I just can't see them getting to the optimal lineup a lot of the time, so I'll be fading that high-level affair.
Sounds good. And then Monk, how about you? What fight are you fading for this week?
I'll go ahead and give you maybe one that not everybody's on to fade. Yanez and Kelley. I'm just not impressed enough with Yanez's ability to score per win at $9,400. That seems a bit high to me. He's only made the optimal 1 out of his last 3 fights. Tony Kelley, everybody wants to hate him for seemingly good reason. I'm not arguing that. But both of these guys, score well per minute. 3.65 for Yanez, 3.27 for Kelley, which is actually 13th best this week. So a lot of really good output fighters per minute is what that stat's telling me. But Yanez averaging only 91 points in 4 wins, and Tony Kelley 84 over 2 wins. Neither one has ever been finished. I believe 2 people already said it, but this is about the third least likely to finish inside the distance fight, somewhere around there. For Computer Monk, it's pretty much the lowest rate to finish inside the distance. So I'm on the fade as far as GPPs go for Yanez and Kelley. I mean, Yanez might be a little hard to get to even in cash at 9,400. I mean, I personally think he could easily win, which I'm kind of planning on. Not easily, but he could win and not pay off that salary. He could not 10x that salary. He scores 85, 90 points. Both these guys, like I said, very tough to finish. So I think I'm going to be under the field on both sides of this one on Yanez and Kelley. It's going to allow me to get to a few other fighters that I might be more interested in. But those DraftKings points per win are just a bit too low for me.
Sounds good. There we go. All right, let us move on to our fighter to fade. Before we do so, we have 30 in here. If y'all can please hit the like button. Also subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio if you have not already. And if you guys have any questions, be sure to type them in the chat, and we will get to them after we go through our lineups and all the good stuff towards the end. All right, so I'll kick this one off as well. Fighter to fade. Yeah, again, there's not a ton of fighters I'm really running to fade here, but one I'm going to fade is going to be Maria Oliveira at 7,000. The more I look into this matchup, as crazy as it sounds, I think DePaula has a really good chance to win this fight. And I know it's hard to be confident in a 6-4 Glory DePaula, but I'm just not convinced that Maria Oliveira is UFC caliber. I guess you could argue the same thing about DePaula, but you take a look at Oliveira's wins, they're all very, very questionable opponents. And when she fights someone somewhat relevant, she tends to lose and lose convincingly as well. I think DePaula is going to be the better striker, and I think she has a clear path to victory in terms of taking down Maria Oliveira, exploiting that takedown defense, that get-up game. DePaula did go for 5 takedowns her last fight as well, so I think on the feet, I like DePaula, and then on the mat, I like DePaula as well, so I just don't really see a reason to get to Maria Oliveira. I don't think she's that great, to be honest. Weezy, who is your fighter to fade for this week?
Yeah, I'm going with a very contrarian take here, so get out the pitchforks and torches. I'm fading Adrian Yanez at 9,400. This guy is 100% of his points are scored via striking. He doesn't grapple at all. And, that makes him a little bit one-dimensional, especially in the DraftKings setting here. You're saying to yourself, either this guy is getting a knockout in the first or second round, or most likely he's not going to be optimal, especially at this salary. And Monk mentioned it. I've got a bet on the fight goes to decision in this fight. These guys have got 5 combined losses. Neither one of them has ever been finished. And, they're both very durable. And Kelley showed in particular a fantastic game plan in his last fight out against Randy Costa, was just marching him down, not letting Costa get off his kicks at all. And I think one thing that I really think about Yanez here is that we've seen them feed possible fucking opponents that they could feed him. Nobody's trying to take this guy down. Nobody's trying to put this guy's back up against the cage. Everybody that he fights is 3 notches below him on the striking. And what do? They fucking stand in front of him and they trade with him. This guy hasn't had a hard fight yet in terms of somebody with an IQ over 80 going out there and actually doing something that might make Yanez uncomfortable. I think Kelley might be able to do that. And, so I just don't like Yanez in this spot. $9,400 for a pure striker that's dependent on a knockdown or a knockout against a guy who's been incredibly durable over his whole career. I'm fading this guy.
Makes sense to me. Monk, how about you? What fighter are you fading for this week?
Love the call, Weezy. I'm going to go a bit. This is interesting. There's not a ton of fighters I want to fade. I would give you Danny Chavez, but you guys covered him pretty well. The Yanez pick is great. I'm going to throw Julian Marquez's name in the hat against RoboCop. 7,700. First of all, that's a fantastic salary to play. Probably the best underdog salary there is. So I'm kind of being hypocritical. But the numbers here for Marquez are, we'll just say, unimpressive. 2.23 points a minute. 88 when he wins. He's only scored over 100 points or over 90 points one time so far in the UFC, and that was against, Sam Alvey. 73 against Maki Pitolo, and he subbed him in the 3rd round. 73 points. 85 against Darren Stewart, subbed him in the 2nd. So I am pretty much, unimpressed by the ability of Marquez to score per minute. I think this one probably, let's see what Computer Monk thinks. Yeah, this one, he thinks it goes to decision. I tend to agree. Rodrigues seemingly is extremely tough and has the ability to finish as well. Marquez, his only finishes in the UFC are 3 submission wins. As I alluded to, Rodrigues, obviously fantastic on the ground, off his back, pretty much everywhere. Never been subbed in his career. Yeah, I'm going to kind of be fading Marquez a little bit, not to like 0, probably not even to 10, but I might be a little bit under the field depending on what his ownership is this week. I think a lot of people are kind of on him, but I'm, like I said, unimpressed with his ability to score per minute.
Sounds good. There we go. And then Gordo, how about you? What fighter are you fading for this week?
Yeah, for sure. You know what? I went over the entire thing, and I do have 5 fighters I'm fading completely. We've talked about 4 of them, the last one of which being Jasmine Jasudavicius. I love my Canadian girl. I got Canadian bias all over the place, right up here too. But this is one where I can't back her at 9.1K. I know that she had a nice little grappling opportunity against Kay Hansen last time out, 6 minutes control time, put up 86 points. With that being said, I think that she's not necessarily going to want to go to the ground as much. I think she's going to have a clear path victory in the feet. I know a lot of people are on Silva this week. I'm not one of them. With that being said, I still understand that Silva is dangerous despite the layoff. And I think that Jasmine may have a chance to win this fight, but is she going to go out there and outperform a Phil Hawes, a Kevin Holland, or anybody else at that price tag? 9.1K is just a bit too steep for someone I see winning a decision at a high clip. That being said, she's seen to slow down her output in the 3rd round as well. I just think the price tag's too high, and she's definitely someone I'm fading this week.
Yep, I'm right there with you. She was one of my options as well. Let us move on to our favorite dog. I will kick this one off. And yeah, this is a tricky one for dogs. Because like you said earlier, Gordo, like we have a ton of big favorites. 10 out of the 14 favorites are minus 200 and greater. So not a ton of dogs really stick out. I'm actually going to go with Joe Lauzon here, 7,900. I mean, if this guy wins, it's probably going to be in the 1st round. It's probably going to be by knockout, and he's probably going to put up a very big score. Like, he's going to come in there and try to finish Cerrone very early. He's going to fight for your money. So, yeah, 7,900, I think he has some serious upside. Do I think he wins? Probably not. If this fight does get extended, I think that heavily favors Cerrone. But, we've seen Cerrone get knocked out a ton. We've seen Cerrone be a very slow starter. Joe Lauzon, a very fast starter. I don't think it's, I think it can very well happen that Joe Lauzon go out there and knock out Cerrone. So, yeah, 7,900. Not a ton of other dogs stick out. So I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. But, Monk, who is your favorite dog of the week?
Man, that's a fight that, I mean, who knows what either of these guys are going to do. I mean, like I said before, a a stiff breeze might finish either of them. But I'm going to give you Roman Dolidze this week for a dog of the week, $7,500 going up against Kyle Daukaus, 3.54 points a minute. That's the 5th best rate on the card. 95 when he wins, so not great, but not terrible either. I really like this play for cash. We'll get into that later on. But yeah, when he lost, let's see, he put up 39.05 in his loss against, Trevin Giles, unanimous decision. But his defense is what I like the most here, and why I will also be fading Kyle Daukaus. 1.41 points a minute is all Roman allows. 51 is what Trevin Giles scored in that loss. His takedown defense, not the best, 37.5%. But the angle I'm going to be looking at here is the stronger guy. He should be the much stronger guy, I would imagine, Roman Dolidze. Going for some clinch here, holding Daukaus against the cage, maybe landing a takedown. Daukaus obviously loves to work off of his back, so he doesn't mind being taken down probably. But he does have some decent takedown defense, I believe. 83.33%. But still, I like Roman Dolidze to kind of outmuscle Daukaus a little bit, maybe rack up some control time. And he does like to throw strikes while being in control. So that does help a lot, especially if this goes to decision. From what we've seen lately, control time apparently, doesn't matter at all if you're not doing much with it, which I, won't disagree or agree with here. But Roman Dolidze, definitely at 7,500, somebody I could see potential value in, especially in cash this week.
There we go, Roman Dolidze. Gordo, how about you?
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to take a shot on Duran Win this weekend as an underdog, purely because of his opponent and his upside. I mean, Duran Win's a guy who's going to go out there. He's going to give you a huge opportunity to score points. There's no question about it. He's going to shoot takedowns. He landed 12 last time out. And whereas Phil Haas does have 100% takedown defense, if there's anybody that's going to slip on a banana peel on the UFC other than Michael Johnson, it's going to be Phil Haas. His cardio isn't great. His chin has been scores huge, right? There's no doubting that. So I think that $7,200, that opens up a lot of opportunities for that mid-range. I think that if you are holding the Phil Hayes ticket, which I may possibly be, I will be sweating it the entire time because he's just a guy who has been knocked out. And here he's very talented. He does tend to slip on that banana peel, as I say. So give me Duran Win as the underdog. Just purely due that upside.
Is it because Phil Haas dyed his hair blonde? I think we lost Gordo.
Yeah, he looks to have frozen up there. Just like the person who dyed Phil Haas' hair blonde last time appeared to not be very good at dyeing people's hair. You don't leave big chunks of hair undyed, especially when you're dyeing black hair blonde. I never even went to cosmetology school or cutting hair school or anything. And I know that. So let's hope somebody that did the job of dyeing his hair this week had a little more pride in their work.
I'll tell you, it looks a little better this week.
I'm hoping so, man, because I was watching tape on this dude and I'm like, there's giant chunks of fucking hair dye missing. What happened here? So, but that's not important. We got to talk about the dog that I like here. And I'm going with you, Brady. Joe Lauzon, 7,900. We're not going to find a lot of underdogs that aren't like almost plus 200 this week. And with Lauzon, we got one of the closer line dogs here. And he's fighting a guy in Donald Cerrone that, I wouldn't be surprised to see this dude just check out and make it look obvious in the first 60 seconds. It would not fucking surprise me. The fact that he pulled out of the fight the day of is a huge red flag. He's said things, like that performance against Conor McGregor. Everybody tore apart Stephen A. Smith for saying that Cerrone quit in there. And they should, because Stephen A. Smith shouldn't even be allowed to talk about the UFC. But Cerrone, he said it himself recently where he was just like, yeah, I didn't even want to be there, And hearing something, like a professional fighter say some shit like that ever is the biggest red flag that you could ever have in this sport. And, with Lauzon, at least he won his last fight and against a really good opponent, too. I wouldn't be surprised to see either one of these guys win. But, this is the fight that's most likely to finish inside the distance. And you can get a guy here for 7,900 who's probably about a coin flip to win this thing. And they're predicting that this thing finishes inside the distance almost 70% of the time. I think Lauzon's a good underdog pick this week.
Yep, absolutely. I think if he wins, it is a first round finish there. Let us go to our favorite GPP play, our favorite tournament play, and I will start with you, Monk. Who are you liking here?
I'll just back up some of what you guys were saying. I know we chose this fight for our favorite fight to play. I'm going to go with Phil Hawes, $9,000. Weird to say, but probably my favorite $9,000 fighter. 9,500 is a fantastic salary to play for Cody Stamann, but it's Cody Stamann. The stats don't back that up, but he's fighting Eddie Wineland, so blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking Phil Hawes this week for 9,000. Has made the optimal one out of his last three. The scoring upside here is too great to pass up. 4.7 points a minute, number one on the card. 106.28 when he wins, over 3 wins. That's number 2 on the card. His defense isn't bad. 2.2 points a minute is what he gives up, but he did get finished pretty early, or not early, but early in the fight, but late in the first round against Chris Curtis, who, is doing a lot more than a lot of people expected. So I'm interested to see his next fight. But I like the Phil Hawes side, the size advantage. I mean, what is this guy going to – he might just put his hand out on Deron Wynn's head and just Deron Wynn swinging, trying to get. I mean, that's all he might have to do here. We'll see if that strategy pays off. Cotton, kind of bold, but we will see. Phil Hawes, though, 3 wins, over 90 points, 1 win over 110. He does score 1.72 points a minute in takedowns and control time, which is ridiculous. Deron Wynn, though, right up there as well. Doesn't give up a ton of takedown or control time points, as you would imagine. Very difficult to take down, a 4'11" brick shit house like that when you're 6 foot tall. But I'm liking the numbers on Phil Hawes here. I think this one might go to decision. Who knows? Even if it does, could score pretty well. He did finish Jacob Malkoun very early, 127 points, but then 2 decisions in a row where he scored 96 and 94 against Imavov and Daukaus. So, not impressive, that's for sure. So give me Phil Hawes, one of my favorite GPP plays and my favorite 9K range guy.
Yep, Monk, that was mine as well, but I'll go with my backup here. My backup's going to be Albert Duraev, 8,600. Like, this guy is no joke on the mat. Serious ground and pound, good submission game. I think if he gets his fight down to the mat, he can very well finish Joaquin Buckley. I have some concerns with his chin, especially with his fight IQ. It took him till, getting dropped in his last fight to finally shoot for a takedown. If you're Duraev here, why not go for takedowns in the first round and go out there and finish the fight? I think he absolutely has the tools to do so. And it's 8,600. I think if he wins, it is going to be a finish, whether it's ground and pound submission. I think he's going to have a big advantage on the mat if he does choose to get it there. So I like Albert Duraev. I think he has some serious upside at 8,600. Gordo, who are you liking as far as the GPP play goes?
Well, first of all, hopefully the Wi-Fi is all back. But no, those are 2 guys I definitely really want to talk about myself. I'm going to look at Kevin Holland, though, 8.9K. This guy, out of his last 5 of his last 6 wins, he's put up over 95 points. The guy has power. The guy scores well on DraftKings, and he's an entertainer. So he's going to go out there and look for that finish at all times. I think it's a decent matchup this week against Tim Means. I do think that finish is definitely on the table. 8.9K. Especially looking at the people in that 9K range is when I'm looking at GPP. I'm looking at ownership and stuff as well. I think that Stamann, due to just that almost not guaranteed, but the higher price tag, may accrue some ownership. But I do think that Holland may go overlooked due to Emmett and Hawes being right around him. I think Holland goes out there, gets a finish. I think he's got decent power and decent ability to score over 100 this week.
I like it. I like that one as well. And then I believe Weezy, what is your favorite GPP play?
Yeah, I'm going with Holland as well. We've seen Means. He's been finished in 4 of his 9 UFC losses, and Holland's finished 6 of his 10 UFC wins. This guy is putting up a good amount of points, too. Holland, I've got scoring 3.43 DraftKings points per minute, and his fights are averaging 125.81 total points and a 6.67 work rate per minute. There's only 2 fighters that have a higher work rate per minute on the card there, and that's Kelley and Wynn. Their fights both score over 7 points total work rate per minute. So, yeah, I think it's a fight that's going to score a good amount of points. Means is coming to the point now where I think he's getting kind of chinny and he's absorbed a lot of punishment. And Kevin Holland, that straight right hand of his is just, you see the mouthpiece just flying out of people's mouths when he hits them. And now he's not even at 185 anymore. He's at 170. I think this guy's going to be a fucking problem at 170. If people can't take this guy down and hold him down, he's going to be knocking people out. And the one thing that a lot of people forget about Kevin Holland is that you can hit this guy in the face with a shovel and he's not going down. The guy's got a legit chin. And we've seen Means land a big shot, and then if it doesn't put his opponent out, he's the one getting knocked out 30 seconds later. And it could be the exact same situation here with Holland. But I think Holland gets it done. I think he gets it done inside the distance, probably puts up 100 points.
I like it. I'm right there with you. Let us move on to our favorite cash play. I will kick this one off. A couple guys stick out. I'm going to go with Calvin Kattar, though, 8,800. We have 5 rounds to work with. This is a guy that lands a ton of volume, over 5.19 significant strikes per minute landed. And on top of that, what I like most about Calvin Kattar in this fight is the durability he's shown thus far. And I know it's Josh Emmett. He hits like a truck, but Calvin Kattar has not been knocked out his entire career, 28 fights. He's never been knocked down before, and maybe that changes here, but I do like the durability. I like the fact that he's younger. He's going to have a huge height advantage. He's going to be the much bigger fighter as well. And if this does get extended, I like the volume of Kattar, and I think he's very live for a finish in his own right later the fight goes. So I like Calvin Kattar. I think he's somewhat safe, 8,800. I like him a lot in cash. Weezy, who's your favorite cash play for this week?
Yeah, same thing for me, just because it is a 5-round fight and because we got Kattar, a guy that, even if he doesn't win this fight, you're probably not knocking out Calvin Kattar, and that goes for Josh Emmett too. So, at 2.8 points per minute for 25 minutes, that's a decent amount. That's 28 times 2.5. It's 56 and then 14. So that's about 100 points in a decision win. There's nothing wrong with that. And we know that this guy does score a ton of points, and he can just rack it up, landing that jab over and over and over again, a la Rob Font, a guy that he trains with. And he's got the big reach advantage here. He's the much better boxer. You just watch how these guys box. Emmett's just trying to take your head off with big, slow hooks, and Kattar's right down the middle, popping that jab, working leg kicks, body kicks, maintaining distance, which he will be able to do because he's got the superior reach here. Yeah, I really like Calvin to get the job done. And the fact that it's a 5-round fight really makes him my favorite cash play here.
Absolutely. Monk, how about you? Who is your favorite cash play for this week?
I'm going to go with pretty much the only $9,000 fighter that I can play for cash. That's going to be Ricardo Ramos going against Danny Chavez. Numbers aren't terrible, 2.81 points a minute, only 80 when he wins, but that's decent for cash. You know what I'm saying? He is pretty expensive for his average salary, $1,000 over, but he has put up over 90 points in 2. Does score pretty well as far as takedowns and control time go. I believe that's 1.14 points per minute in those 2 categories put together. His takedown defense, 77.27%. His significant striking defense, 58.66%, and that's a top 10 number right there in the division, or on the card, I should say. 3.72 strikes landed against is all that gets hit on him. The big one here is his strength of schedule compared to Danny Chavez in their last 5. It is at least 11 points higher in every category pretty much, as far as the opponent win percentage, the actual strength of schedule, strength of victory, of defeat, very, very much higher over compared to Danny Chavez. Ramos has dropped 2 of his last 5 against Zubaira and Lerone Murphy, who is undefeated in his career and in the UFC, obviously. Got wins over Bill Algeo, which is aging very well, Gregory, and Journey Newson, who just picked up a win in the UFC about a month ago. So a couple of decent wins there. It is a bit much for Ramos, but I don't mind paying it in cash. Like I said, I don't like really any of the other $9,000 fighters for cash this week. So I think Ramos might be as free of a square as you can get when it comes to cash games. Oh, I believe you're muted, Brady.
Mute.
Of course I am. Shame. Shame on me.
Were you just talking shit about my Ramos pick? Just didn't want me to hear it? I respect that.
I was going to say I like Ramos. I like him to win a lot. Gordo, how about you? Who you liking for cash?
This is going to hurt me to say because I do like the Kattar pick, but I'm going to go different. I'm going to go Cody Stamann, 9.5K, and it is a huge expensive price tag. But when you're looking for cash, you're looking for those points. And Cody Stamann, I think, is if I was Uncle Weezy, he'd be one of my ass shavings of the week. But I do like Cody. I think he goes out there, does really well. I think his floor is the highest out of everybody on the entire slate. I think that we talked about this earlier. You could just push Wineland once and he could be knocked out. I think he's very fragile as a fighter, which is unfortunate because I do like him and his mustache. But Cody Stamann's going to have the advantage almost everywhere. I do think that finish is definitely on the table. All 3 rounds. I think his ceiling's up there as well with both finish and decision upside. he's just a safe option. And when we're playing cash, you want that safe option. I think gets at least 70, 80 points this week, and he looks good doing it.
Yeah, absolutely cannot argue that, Gordo. We got F. Carrillo with the dono saying, let's get it, Four Horsemen, El Gordo, Monktastic, Unk, and Dukes of Hazard. I like it. Thank you for the dono, F. Carrillo, and thank you for hanging out with us on a Wednesday. Let us keep moving on here. We have our favorite value play, and I will let you kick this one off, Gordo. Who are you liking for some value this week?
Yeah, value-wise, I'm going to go with Kyle Dawkins. I mean, I think he also has a higher floor than everybody else in the region. I know that him and Deletes are both two durable guys, but I think Dawkins has him covered a lot of these places here. I know we talked about fight IQ for Tony Kelley, which is something I never thought I'd hear, but I don't think that Dawkins or Deletes has the higher fight IQ here at all. I think that Kyle Dawkins has him covered almost everywhere, striking, submissions. I think that he's got a really safe floor as well, and also has finishing upside in those later rounds when Deletes does decide to gas. With that being said, is he going to go out there and have a higher ceiling than someone like Kattar, Holland, or Haas ahead of him? Don't think so. That's why he's value for me, because I think he goes out there. I think he puts up 87 points, at least 10 times his value a lot of the time, just because of how safe he is. And when I'm looking for value, I'm looking for someone who can get that 10x, and I think he gets it a lot of the time.
Yeah, sounds good. I think Kevin Holland's my value play this week, especially seeing money is pouring in on Kevin Holland. I now see him at minus 300 on some books. And, I think he finishes Tim Means here. Tim Means 38 years old. I really question his mentality, where he's at right now. His chin does not look good. His durability does not look good. I cringe like every time I see this guy hit nowadays. Danny Rodrigues was hurting him bad with every shot that landed. Kevin Holland has a lot of power in his hands. Tim Means has been submitted like 5 times as well. Kevin Holland being a black belt, I think the sub could be on the table as well. I think Kevin Holland finishes Tim Means here, whether it's by knockout, whether it's by sub. I think it's a really bad spot for Tim Means. So give me Kevin Holland, 8,900. I do think there's some value on that, especially considering he's approaching minus 300 on most books there. Weezy, who are you liking as a value play this week?
Well, Kevin Holland is my alternate ass shaving of the week, just in case Darren Wynn once again doesn't show up for the 3rd consecutive time to fight Phil Hawes. So I like that pick. But for me, the value for me is going to be Tony Kelley at 6,800. Now, I told you a lot of the reasons why I'm fading Yanez this week for DraftKings. Tony Kelley scoring 3.36 DraftKings points per minute. He's been in very high scoring fights with 139 total points scored in his fights thus far. So at 3.36 points, he scores about 50, even in a decision loss. And I do think this fight goes to decision. Like I say, they're both very durable guys. And if Kelley's smart, he's going to test the grappling of Yanez, because he's not going to stand in front of him in the pocket there and win a boxing match with Adrian Yanez. Yanez is too crisp. He's too clean. He's got too much power. And he's cut all the fat out of his game. He's not throwing dumbass spinning shit and, flying knees. He's really good at boxing, and he's really good at being in the right range, and he does that well. But I'm hoping that Tony Kelley tests the versatility of Yanez. And if he does that, I think we could see him rack up 3.3, 3.4, 3.5 DraftKings points per minute, and then be there and live when the scorecards are read. And if he wins this one, man, he's going to be optimal.
Sounds good. I like that one as well. Who do we have left? I think Monk, right?
Yes, sir. And I love both sides of this fight, as I alluded to. The Calvin Kattar side, is absolutely ridiculous. Could be a ton of value there on the $8,800 side. His scoring weight is 100. He scores 124.5% more than his opponent, 103% more when he wins, and 140% more than the average of the weight class when he loses. But I will give you Josh Emmett. I think just because of the salary, not 7,400, much easier to 10x if you win, obviously, than the higher salaries. That's just math and how it works in general. 3.31 points a minute. The big thing is Josh Emmett only allowing 2.11 points a minute defensively and 75 when he loses here. So I think this fight does get extended, even if Kattar wins in the 4th, 5th, or by decision. I think Josh Emmett could still score very well. I think he can, 40, 50 points in a loss, maybe, if it gets extended that far. It's not like he just sits there and doesn't throw. Where's my stat here? This guy lands 4.28 points a minute. So 10th highest on the card at a 39% accuracy. That's not great, but he has that power. I believe it's, let's count live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 knockdowns in his previous 5 fights. That is absolutely insane. I believe he has 7 total in the UFC, the highest power index on the card. Kattar never been finished, obviously, in the UFC, but obviously if Emmett wins by finish, he's going on the optimal. But I just think the longer this goes, the better, the higher he can score. And I think he's got great value potential this week.
Sounds good. There we go. We will move on to, lastly, we have the dart throw, and I'll let you kick this one off, Uncle Weezy. Who are you liking as far as a dart throw goes? Somebody low owned here.
Somebody low owned. Did I even write something down for this one? And I did not. I came unprepared for the dart throw question, but there's a lot of good choices here. Joaquin Buckley's got a ton of fucking power, and Albert Duraev stood on the feet way, way, way too long with Roman Kopylov. So, Joaquin Buckley's probably not necessarily a dart throw, because I think he will actually be kind of highly owned because he's an underdog in a fight that's second most likely to finish inside the distance. But can I go with somebody that might be lower owned? Oh, boy. Maybe Court McGee. He's not going to be in my lineup, but I am picking him to win this fight by decision. Court is a fantastic grappler, and that's the reason I like Court. And over a very large sample size, Court's actually scoring 3.45 DraftKings points per minute. That's over a 19-fight sample size, you guys. So that is over 50 points in a decision loss. But the most important thing to look at when you look at Court McGee is look at who he's been in there with. Look at who he's grappled with. If this guy Wells is just going to come forward throwing bombs, he's going to get his ass put on the canvas. He's going to get his back put on the cage, and he's going to be wearing Court McGee's weight for a full 15 minutes, and he's going to lose a decision here. So I think Court McGee at 8,200 might be low owned, and I think that even in a decision win, this dude could score upwards of 90 points here and be a sneaky choice to go optimal.
Yep, I think
that's
a great.
Carrillo saying McGee's stupid cardio. That's going to be the difference in this fight. If Wells doesn't get McGee out of there early, boy, oh boy, is McGee just going to grind on this dude.
Yep, not only does he have stupid cardio, but he has stupid durability as well. So, yes. Yeah, I like that fight in general to target. I think it's a really good one. For me, I'm going to go a little crazy here. I'm going to go with – who am I going to go with? I'm going to go with Gloria DePaula. I don't think anybody's going to play her whatsoever. She's 9,200, obviously pretty overpriced. I'm just not sold on Oliveira. I don't think she's that great. DePaula, pretty high volume. I think she's going to have the striking advantage. I think she can work in those takedowns. If she does, I think she gets takedowns, control time. I think it's going to add up. And again, I see literally nobody playing her. So, yeah, I'm kind of more so a fade on Maria Oliveira here. I don't think she's that great. I think DePaula can put up a solid score at very low ownership. Gordo, how about you? Who are you liking for a dart throw?
I was going to say Gloria DePaula as well. Let me look for another one here. First of all, I'm glad you said it, so there's no threat of oranges in my direction. But I do think Gloria DePaula is better everywhere here, man. It's like, don't make me be that guy parlaying Gloria DePaula, but it's just Oliveira's not that good. Anyways, I think I'm going to go dart throw Danny Chavis, 6.9K. This one's going to get a lot of, let's say, interesting looks just because he's going to be very, very low owned. And you guys said it yourself. His win condition is going to be knocking him out in that very first round. Not only that is Ramos has this ability to keep fights really close, and Chavis is going to do one thing. He's going to stay there and he's going to stand and bang the entire time. Maybe not the most volume, no volume at all really, but he hits hard. He will close the distance. I think at 6.9K, you get a win at all and you open up a lot of options for that mid-range. I like his floor as well. I just think he's a decent dart throw, and I do think that first round finish is not off the table. So what else more do you want from dart throw?
Sounds good. Yeah, this guy has some serious power, especially in that first round. So don't hate that. And then Monk, how about you? Who are you liking for a dart throw?
We're going to go with the women's flyweight underdog, Natalia Silva. I have no UFC stats for her. She has 10 finishes in 12 professional wins. That's fantastic right off the bat. Met possible shades of the other Silva from last week or 2 weeks ago. But this is kind of, this is a salary voodoo play, man. Women's flyweight fights make the optimal lineup more than any other weight class. Let's see. We've had 58 women's flyweight fights since January 1st of 2021. 32 times someone from those fights has made the optimal lineup. That is a better percentage than any other weight class. It's more than middleweights by a whole point. 55.17%. So that's clearly what I'm going to do. That's just for GPPs. Obviously, I'm not thinking this for cash, but If Silva wins, she's going to easily pay off that salary because it'll probably be a finish. And like I said, the salary voodoo here. Don't sleep on the women's flyweight fights. Plus, we just had one miss last week with Valentina. She scored like 114, didn't make the optimal. So women's flyweight is due again right away this week. So Natalia Silva will be my dart throw.
Sounds good. I don't hate that whatsoever. All right, guys. And now what we'll do is we'll take a look at the lineups from last week. We'll talk about our lineups for this week. If you guys have any questions in the chat, we got a couple. We'll answer them soon. If you have not typed a question yet, be sure to type it in the chat, and we'll get to that very, very shortly, guys. So last week, did not go so great for me. I finished in last place. I had Valentina Shevchenko scoring 114.85. That bum Brendan Allen scoring 82.92. That bum Steve Garcia scoring 4.25. That bum Ramazan Ameev scoring 8.55. And finally, that bum Liang Na scoring 1.87. And then Joanna scoring 17.40. I don't think I've ever done this bad, but 229.84. In third place was Monk with Valentina Shevchenko, 114. Jiri Prochazka, 123. That bum Steve Garcia, 4.25. Ramazan Ameev, 8.55. Ramona Pascual, 32.46. And then Jacob Malkoon with 67.67. Monk scoring 351.25 points. In second place was Gordo with Valentina Shevchenko, 114. Allen, 82. Jiri, 123. That bum Liang Na, 1.87. Romana Pascual, 32. And then Joanna, 17. And then in first place was Uncle Weezy with Valentina Shevchenko, 114, Brendan Allen, 82, Danab Bakary, 43, Jack Della Maddalena, 107, that bum Liang Na, 1.87, and then Glover Teixeira, 106.61 for a grand total of 457.43. Congrats, Uncle Weezy. You got it done.
Yeah, thank you. There was a weird card last week. Hard for betting, seeing, Joanna get knocked out cold was just like mind blowing to me. And then the main event, what an amazing fight. I guess you could have stacked that main event and probably been optimal.
That the stack was optimal last week.
Wow, dude. I mean, like they scored so many points. I was just sitting there watching that fight with my fist in my mouth. I was like, what is that? It was crazy. So glad to get kind of back into the swing of things here and hoping to keep it going next week.
Yeah, for sure. And now let's take a look at the grand totals. We have Monk in fourth place with 7,902.35, 966.8 behind the leader. Weezy with 8,062.07, 807.08 behind the leader. Second place is me with 8,175.31, 693.84 behind the leader. And then in first place is Gordo with 8,869.15. 0.15. Congrats, Gordo. You are still in first, and I have a feeling you'll be in first, if not the whole year, but for a long time.
Hey, don't jinx me. I haven't won an Ironman since I've been on the show, so I'm debating quitting anyways. No, I'm just kidding. It's been fun. Let's hope it keeps going.
Sounds good. And I'm going to have to try to jinx you or do something. Something's not working here. So
we'll start winning the Ironman, and then you'll start losing these ones so we can come back. It's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. I like that idea.
Just like Brady jinxed the main event last week.
I know. Did you see that? I posted my loss. I thought the main event was going to go the distance, and then with 28 seconds left to finish. Did you see that, Gordo? I believe it.
And I watched my fights on a delay, so I just thought it was over because I saw your tweet, and oh man, it was not over.
Yeah, I mean, something good happened to me, though, so I can't complain. We'll go over lineups for this week. I will kick it off. I have Cody Stamann up top, 9,500. Kevin Holland, 8,900. Calvin Kattar, 8,800. Doing the stack there with Josh Emmett, 7,400. Albert Duraev, 8,600. And then punting down with one Tony Kelley, 6,800. Weezy, do you have your lineup for this week?
Yeah, for sure. I've got Phil Hawes, who's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week at 9,000. And then I've got Kevin Holland, who is Uncle Weezy's backup ass shaving of the week at 8,900. Kattar at 8,800. Duraev at 8,600. Lauzon, 7,900. And Tony Kelley, 6,800.
Sounds good. We're pretty similar there. Gordo, how about you? What is your lineup for this week?
Yeah, this could change, but right now we're going to go with Cody Stamann, 9.5, Kevin Holland, 8.9, Calvin Kattar, 8.8, Kevin Dawkins, 8.7, and then two guys down low, Duran Win, 7.2, and Danny Chavez, 6.9.
Sounds good. And then Monk, how about you? What do you got?
Saving $600 this week so far, so this could change, but I'm liking it. Kevin Holland, 89, Kattar 88, Duraev 86, Court McGee at 82, Roman Dolidze 75, and Josh Emmett for the stack as well at 74.
Sounds like we're pretty close there as well, Monk. All right, let's answer some questions, guys. Let's see here. We'll kick this one to Weezy. Boys, how are we doing tonight? How you doing, Weezy?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. It's hot as hell here in Chicago. About to take the dog for a walk after this. Doing Ask Weezy at 10:30. Really looking forward to this Austin card. So I got to say things are looking up here, man.
Sounds good. F. Carrillo saying, we'll give this one to Monk. Monk, Court McGee or Albert Duraev for cash?
I'm probably leaning McGee. I did actually, just give him in my cash lineup, but I think McGee man, that's tough. I think McGee for cash and Duraev for GPPs. I think so because like I believe it was Weezy. Correct me if I'm wrong. Buckley hits like a truck, and we've all said that Duraev has been knocked out 3 times. So cash for McGee and GPPs for Duraev.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Gordo?
No, I completely agree. I think McGee definitely has the higher floor here. He's just so tough, so durable, and it's not like Duraev wasn't knocked out by Ramazan Emeev, right? So you never know.
And don't forget, you guys, Jeremiah Wells might get his toe caught in the cage doing that dumbass run around the cage. I mean, like, I don't even understand why you would do it. He almost ran into Chris Tione, and he's done that shit twice. And the second time was when he almost got hurt doing it. So, yeah, I mean, that could happen. He could tear off his toe 2 seconds into this, and then Court McGee gets a first-minute bonus.
Yeah, for sure. It could happen. Anything can happen in MMA, right? We'll give this one to Monk. What's good, fellas? Hyped to be able to make another show. A lot of big faves, lean Kattar, but is he worth the steep price of 8,800? Monk, what do you think?
This week I absolutely think so. I'm trying to pull up the stats here. Like we said, Kattar's numbers kind of got effed up by Holloway big time, but overall, other than that, I mean, he put up 121 against Giga, absolutely pieced him up. This one not clearly, but it should be a stand-up war. I think, Kattar has a decent shot to win. I think even in a loss, he scores okay. Like I said, with the scoring weight percentages that I gave you earlier, he scores very well. I love him at 8,800. And like I said, I don't like that top end very much this week. So I have a feeling Kattar and Emmett are going to be in a ton of my lineups.
Yep, completely agree. Keep it cool saying Weezy's ass shaving of the week is Hawes, right?
It is Phil Hawes over Darren Wayne. And then if that fight doesn't happen because it's been called off twice before, we're going with Kevin Holland over Tim Means. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Kevin Holland's got for us at 170, man. I think it's going to be a bright future for him. He's still really young, and he's got a ton of experience, and he's fought some of the best 185ers on the planet already. So looking forward to that.
We have to watch out though in his hometown, because that night he'll be fighting, and so crime might just go through the roof if he's not out there to stop it. So just be careful if you're from Kevin Holland's hometown. He will not be home that night.
He's doing more than the entire police department of the city. This guy's just stopping crime. It's crazy.
That's awesome. I know I'm going to feel safe with Kevin Holland in the same city as me. I know that for a fact. Gordo, Kevin Holland inside the distance plus 165. Is this a smash spot?
You know what? I don't like to always smash these inside the distance props because there's so much variability, but I do think that him winning as a whole and probably inside the distance is a very good spot this weekend. Tim Means has shown to have some, let's say, durability issues, but I do think that Kevin Holland's a much better fighter here. I am picking him to win. Inside the distance here, I do think the price is just about right, though. I will have a bet on the inside the distance, but let's tone down the smash. I won't be pulling out the hammer for it, but yes, I do think it's a good spot this week.
Yep, I'm right there with you. And if FanDuel had it like plus 185, I'm not sure if it's still there, but that was
the submission's like plus 1,200 still. And he's been talking all the time about choking out Dirty Bird, so you never know.
His submission opened up at plus 1,400.
Wow.
I don't know why, but yeah, that's nuts. And then even the KO now is like around plus 280, something like it's something crazy. So yeah, I think these Kevin Holland props are very juicy this week. Weezy, this one can go to you. How do you think Damir looked his last fight compared to previous performances? Missed weight by 7 pounds last time, and then that fight got canceled. Any thoughts?
Yes, definitely. That's a big problem right now because the last fight didn't even happen because Damir missed so badly against Mustafayev, and then prior to that, he got caught by Rafael Alves. But go and look at Rafael Alves' career. That dude finishes people in the first round or he doesn't win. and he came forward. He blasted Damir. And what did Damir do? He wound up getting up. Alves jumped on that guillotine. Damir pulled his head out of there and then won the last 4.5 minutes of the round and then just outboxed this guy. Kutateladze is I think he's gonna need to get lucky, frankly. And let's not forget that we see Kutateladze like it's like a blue moon. That guy's had a 12-year career and he has 10 fights, I think. So he's inactive as well. So I just think the far better fighter is Damir Ismagulov here. So I'm going with Damir.
Yep, and I want to see the weigh-ins for that fight as well.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
If he looks good, I'll probably be betting him. If not, I'll probably just pass. But yeah, I do like Damir as well. Forgot to mention, loser has to dye their hair Phil Haas blonde, by the way. So I think it's you, Monk. I think you are in danger of dyeing your hair Phil Haas blonde, and then also having some black patches in your hair as well.
That means I have to grow it back out, and nobody wants that. So I really got to make some improvements here.
Yep, for sure. And this week could be the week to do it. So yeah, Phil Haas blonde. Interesting hair color choice for Mr. Phil Haas, but we'll see if it works out against Cerrone win. And I think lastly, we'll just give our predictions and then head out of here. Weezy, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going with Calvin Kattar. I'm going with Cerrone to win the fight. Kevin Holland, Albert Duraev, Ismagulov, Rodrigues. I'm picking Kelley in an upset. Court McGee, Jasudavicius, Gloria DePaula, Ricardo Ramos, Cody Stamen, Kyle Dawkins, Phil Haas by ass shaving.
Sounds good. For me, I'll go with Calvin Kattar, Donald Cerrone, Kevin Holland, Joaquin Buckley with the upset, Damir Ismagulov, Gregory Rodrigues, Adrian Yanez, Jasmine Jasudavicius. Give me Court McGee, Ricardo Ramos, Gloria DePaula, Cody Stamen, Phil Haas, and then Kyle Dawkins. Gordo, how about you? What are your picks for this week?
Yeah, we're going to take Kattar in the main event. We're going to go one last time with Donald Cerrone, Kevin Holland, Albert Duraev, Damir Ismagulov, Gregory Rodrigues, Adrian Yanez, Court McGee, Jasmine Jasudavicius, Gloria DePaula, and this is where things started getting weird. Danny Chavez, I'll take him for the upset. Cody Stamen, Kyle Dawkins, and Duran win for another upset.
Sounds good. And Monk, how about you? What are your picks for this week?
Computer Monk's got Phil Haas, Roman Dolidze, which is the only underdog pick I like from him this week. Cody Stamen, Ricardo Ramos, Gloria DePaula, Jasmine Jasudavicius, Jeremiah Wells, big disagree there. Adrian Yanez, Gregory Rodrigues, Damir Ismagulov, Albert Duraev. Computer Monk's picking Tim Mean, so I might have to just wipe his CPU after this. Donald Cerrone and Calvin Kattar.
Sounds good. I like it. Let's see how we do this week. We'll kick it around. We'll start with you, Gordo. Let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the week for some content.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really hammering out the content for this card. So you can find me on YouTube at Plays and Fade Sports. I commented something in the chat earlier, so I think it's still there. But no, on Twitter at Gambles Gordo. I also posted my best bets for this card on the Current MMA YouTube channel. Again, if you want to find a link to all that, it's all on my Twitter. Go see me out there. And if you guys want to talk any fights, DMs are open. Love talking to you guys there, and appreciate you guys having me on once again. Hopefully we turn around this Iron Man curse.
There we go. Let's check them out over there. Monk, how about you? Where can they find you? What do you have going on throughout the week?
Also been dropping some content this week over on Monk Maddox's YouTube channel. Also be sure to check out the MMA Engine. Definitely subscribe there. We just hit a huge milestone. It's me, Brady, Weezy, and Lou Betya. Tons of content every single day leading up to every single UFC card. Thank you so much to Pub Sports for doing this show. Please like this video, subscribe to that channel especially, and be sure to check out all three of these other guys' stuff on Twitter, on YouTube. Really, really bright dudes and always talking fights. Love reading the stuff myself, so just want to plug their stuff as well.
Thank you, Monk. Really, we do appreciate that. Yeah, go check out Monk. He does a great job. Weezy, how about you? Where can they find you? What do you have going on throughout the week?
Yeah, tonight I'll be on my YouTube channel, Uncle Weezy, 10:30 Central Time after the Club and Sub podcast for Ask Weezy. You can just ask me any questions about the stats that I have in my database, the prop template, the matchup stats, any numbers, and we just have some fun there too. And then on Thursday, 7:15 Central Time, Propability on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. We're going to give you a data-driven look into all 14 of these over-unders and fight goes and fight doesn't go bets on this card. Try to find some spots, make some money. And then you can also find me here on Pub Sports Radio every Sunday for Stat Diggers, every Wednesday for the DFS show, and every Saturday for the Watch Along with Boston Nick and the boys. and let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Austin, everybody.
Let's do it. And then for me, Twitter is DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. And then kind of a little bit of a schedule change. My flight is leaving Friday around 3 p.m. Eastern time. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow we're actually going to do best bet, which is typically on Saturday. We're going to do that, I think, at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And then right after that is going to be probability on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. And then I'm going to be going live for my final thoughts video Friday, right after the weigh-ins. I'm hoping the weigh-ins are at 9. Does anybody know like what time the weigh-ins are?
I do not, but it'll probably be the usual time.
I think I saw something about 4 p.m. Central. I could be wrong, though.
Well, then I would be way off.
That'd
That might be the ceremonials, right? I would hope.
Let me go. I'll check. But
Okay. If you find out, let me know. But yeah, I'll be going hopefully after the weigh-in.
when I went to the Columbus card, it was at 4 p.m. as well. So.
Huh?
Oh no, yeah. I'll go.
You're cutting out. All good. But yeah, going after the weigh-ins there, and then yeah, that's about it for me. So yeah, best of luck, guys. Leave a like on your way out, subscribe, all the good stuff, and best of luck for UFC Austin. See you guys. And